Have you ever felt trapped? I don't mean physically trapped in a room. I mean trapped inside a version of yourself that no longer fits. You look successful on the outside. You have the job, the reputation, the armor that you spent years building to protect yourself. Everyone looks at you and sees strength. They see stability. But on the inside, you are suffocating. You feel tight. You feel constricted. You know deep down that you have outgrown the life you are living, but you are terrified to leave it, because leaving it means becoming naked. Leaving it means becoming meek. I ask this because I spent 3 days watching a creature face this exact dilemma. Meet the crab. To us, he looks like a tank. He is covered in thick, calcified armor. He has giant claws that can crush bone. He walks with a swagger, fearless and tough. Nothing can hurt him. He is safe. But there is a fatal flaw in his design. His armor is dead. It cannot grow. As his living body inside gets bigger, the shell stays the same size. For the last few weeks, he has been living in a torture chamber of his own making. He is literally being crushed to death by his own skeleton. He has a choice to make, and it is a choice that terrifies us humans. Stay safe and die, or become vulnerable and grow. He chooses to grow, but the price of growth is agony. He retreats into the deepest, darkest crevice of the coral reef. He stops eating. He becomes antisocial. He is preparing for a surgery that he has to perform on himself without anesthesia. I watched him wedge himself backward into a hole. He was trembling. You could see the panic in his movements. He knows that for the next hour, he will not be a predator. He will be prey. The process begins. It's called ecdysis, but I call it the Great Escape. A tiny crack appears where his carapace meets his abdomen. He begins to pump water into his body, swelling himself up like a balloon, trying to force the lid of his own body open. Imagine trying to pull your arm out of the cast without cutting the cast. Now imagine that your arm is swollen and the cast is glued to your skin. That is what he is doing. He has to pull his eyes out of their sockets. He has to pull his gills, his lungs, out of their linings. He has to pull his stomach out. But the hardest part is the claws. His new claws are actually bigger than the old ones, yet he has to pull them through the tiny, narrow joints of the old shell. It seems physically impossible. It's like trying to pull a piano through a keyhole.
I watched him struggle. He was twisting, heaving, vibrating with effort. There were moments where he stopped completely, exhausted. I thought he was stuck. If he gets stuck, and this happens often, he dies. He will be trapped halfway out, helpless, until he starves or gets eaten. There is a moment of sheer panic where he has to dislocate his own joints, softening his own bones just to slide them out. He has to break himself to free himself. It reminded me of the pain we feel when we leave a toxic relationship or quit a secure job. We feel like we are tearing ourselves apart. We feel like we are losing a part of who we are. We think, this hurts too much. I should have just stayed. But then, pop, the final leg pulls free. He slides backward, collapsing onto the sand, and what lies there is shocking. Next to him stands his old shell. It looks perfect. It stands tall, claws raised, looking like a fierce warrior. But it is hollow. It is a ghost. It is a lie. And lying next to it is the real crab. He is unrecognizable. He is soft. He is gelatinous. If you touched him, he would feel like a wet sponge. His claws, usually his deadly weapons, are drooping uselessly. He cannot pinch, he cannot run, he cannot fight. This is the soft shell phase. This is the most dangerous moment of his life. A tiny fish could tear him apart. A strong current could smash him against the rocks. He is completely, utterly defenseless. My human instinct looked at him and thought, how foolish. You traded your armor for this? You traded safety for weakness? But then I watched what happened next, and I realized I was wrong. While he is soft, something miraculous happens. Because there is no hard shell restricting him, he begins to expand. He pumps water into his body, stretching his new, soft skin. In a matter of minutes, he grows. He becomes 20% larger than he was an hour ago. This is the secret. He could only grow when he was soft. If he had stayed hard, he would have remained small forever. The vulnerability wasn't a mistake. The vulnerability was the mechanism for growth. He stays hidden in that cave for 3 days. He waits. He trusts. Slowly, the chemistry of his body begins to lay down new calcium. The soft skin begins to harden. The drooping claws become firm. The armor returns. But this time, the armor is bigger. It is stronger. It is cleaner. The barnacles, the scars, the parasites of the past, they are all gone, left behind on the old shell. When he finally walked out of that cave, he walked differently. He was a new animal. He walked past his old shell, that hollow statue of his past self, and he didn't even look at it. He smashed it with his new massive claw and ate a piece of it to reclaim the calcium. He cannibalized his past to strengthen his future. Watching him march back into the ocean, I felt a deep sense of shame for my own fear of vulnerability. We live in a world that tells us to be hard. We are told to have thick skin. We are told never to let them see us bleed. We think that vulnerability is the opposite of strength. But the crab teaches us that vulnerability is the prerequisite for strength. You cannot grow if you are always defending yourself. You cannot expand if you are always holding it together. Sometimes you have to put down the armor. Sometimes you have to retreat into a cave. Sometimes you have to be soft, messy, and awkward. You have to admit you don't know the answer. You have to admit you are hurt. You have to admit you are starting over. It will feel terrifying. You will feel like you are dying. But you are not dying. You are molting. You are shedding a version of yourself that is too small for your soul. So, if you are feeling tender right now, if you feel like your defenses are gone and the world is too sharp, don't panic. You are just in the soft shell phase. You are expanding. Stay in the cave a little longer. Be patient with your softness, because soon the new armor will harden, and when you step out into the light, you will be bigger, stronger, and more resilient than you ever could have been if you had stayed safe in the shell. Embrace the softness. It is the only way to grow.